It's clear that the situation in the region, particularly in Egypt, Jordan, and Turkey, is a source of concern for many, and there's a growing sense that these countries may find themselves reluctantly drawn into conflicts they'd rather avoid. The primary reason behind this potential involvement is their shared faith as Muslims and the moral responsibility they feel to protect their fellow Muslims from what they perceive as heinous crimes in Egypt and Jordan. The prospect of war is not something they desire. It's a region that has seen its share of conflicts, and the toll of war is well understood. However, their reluctance to engage in warfare doesn't mean they are immune to the pressures and circumstances that may force their hand in situations where they see fellow Muslims suffering and being subjected to what they view as atrocities. They may feel compelled to take action. This is a dilemma that many nations face in the modern world, where geopolitical complexities often clash with moral imperatives. Turkey, under the leadership of President Erdogan, has also been vocal about its stance on conflicts in the region, earning strong words such as calling the Israeli state a war criminal state resonate with a significant portion of the Turkish population. It's evident that many people in Turkey share the sentiments of their leader, even if they have reservations about other aspects of his leadership. The recent demonstration in Istanbul, where 1.5 million people gathered to support Erdogan, is a clear indication of the depths of the motion surrounding this issue. In parallel to this, there's a similar dynamic in Israel, despite political divisions and dissatisfaction with leaders like Netanyahu. Many Israelis find themselves rallying behind their government because they perceive no viable alternatives. This is not a unique phenomenon in times of crisis. People often coalesce around leaders they may not wholeheartedly support under normal circumstances. They opt for this course of action simply because they perceive no superior alternative to tackle the challenges confronting them. The situation in the region is intricate and involves various dimensions. It's not solely about one aspect, matter of political maneuver. As deeply intertwined with religious, moral, and historical factors, the Muslim-majority countries in the region, like Egypt and Jordan, share a sense of responsibility for their fellow Muslims, especially when they believe that Muslims are being subjected to severe injustices. This duty can create a powerful emotional drive to intervene. Even when political considerations advise caution for Turkey under President Erdogan, there is a strong desire to play a significant role in regional politics and assert itself as a prominent player in the Muslim world. Erdogan's rhetoric and actions align with this hammer, and his vocal stance against what he sees as Israeli aggression resonates with many within and beyond Turkey's borders. The support for leaders like Erdogan and Netanyahu, despite their divisive and controversial personas, is partly a manifestation of the lesser evil dilemma. When people perceive a lack of alternatives or fear that the available alternatives may be worse, they often rally behind the familiar, even if they have reservations. In the case of Israel, where the security situation is a perennial concern, rallying behind Netanyahu may reflect and believe that he is best positioned to safeguard the country's interests, at least in the eyes of those who support it. The regional political landscape is further complicated by historical conflicts, territorial disputes, and the involvement of other global players. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict in particular has deep historical roots and has drawn the attention of the international community for decades. Efforts to reach a peaceful resolution have been elusive, and this ongoing tension contributes to the overall volatility of the war in the Middle East. Has been a geopolitical hotspot for years, with various regional and global powers pursuing their interests in the region. This adds another layer of complexity to the situation, as countries like the United States, Russia, and China have their own stakes in the region's stability and resources. For Egypt and Jordan, both countries have signed peace agreements with Israel in the past. However, these agreements have faced challenges and are not without critics within their own borders. In situations where they perceive Israel's actions as crossing a line, they may face pressure to reevaluate their positions and consider more assertive measures. In the case of Turkey, its involvement in rhetoric and regional conflicts have expanded in recent years or against ambitions to position Turkey as a regional leader. And his emphasis on Muslim solidarity have led to a more assertive foreign policy, which includes vocal criticism of Israel, the large demonstration in Istanbul, and supporter. Erdogan's position echoes the prevalence of this sentiment among a substantial segment of the Turkish population. The situation in the Middle East is an intricate and interconnected network of politics, religion, history, and power dynamics. It's a region where leaders and nations are often compelled to make difficult choices and where public sentiment can play a significant role in shaping foreign policy. As we observe these events from afar, it's important to remember the human dimension of these conflicts, the lives affected, and the genuine concerns that drive the actions of individuals and nations in the region. Now let's delve into the unpredictable element at play, which is ourselves. Israelis have dedicated significant efforts to gain influence over our government. Our government has committed to unwavering support for Israel, implying that we might become embroidered in a substantial regional conflict. We could find ourselves in a confrontation with Turkey, Iran, and all the Sunni Arab nations in the vicinity, possibly extending to North African countries. The repercussions of this situation are likely to extend to Muslim communities in India, as well as Pakistan. And we should not be surprised if it also affects us in Malaysia and Indonesia. My ongoing question to people is this: what gives you confidence that Israel can endure these challenges? This is my foremost concern. I am a proponent of Israel and have consistently upheld its right to exist. I firmly believe in the legitimacy of Israel's existence, and I'm averse to the notion of its destruction. However, Israel currently finds itself in a precarious position where it has forged alliances that, even with our support and assistance, may not prove effective. In other words, they may not emerge victorious. I view this as a tragedy. Therefore, I have repeatedly stressed the imperative to intervene and safeguard Israel from its own actions in the present scenario. There is an X factor that warrants our attention. The X factor in this equation is, in fact, our own actions. The Israelis have dedicated significant time and resources to exert influence over our government. What this translates into is an unconditional commitment from our government to support Israel as unwavering. Support potentially entangles us in a significant regional conflict. We could find ourselves in a situation where we are pitted against not only the Turkey and Iranians, but also all the Sunni Arab states in the vicinity and possibly even nations in North Africa. The ripple effects of such a conflict may extend further, affecting the Muslim populations in India and most certainly Pakistan. It wouldn't be a stretch to anticipate that Malaysia and Indonesia might also experience repercussions. These developments, I often pose a critical question to people. What leads you to believe that Israel can weather this storm? This is my primary concern. I am an advocate for Israel. I have consistently upheld its right to exist. I firmly believe in the necessity of Israel's existence, and I am strongly averse to the notion of its destruction. However, Israel currently finds itself in a precarious position, having forged alliances that may not prove effective even with our support and assistance. In simpler terms, there's a distinct possibility that they may not emerge victorious. I view this as a tragedy. Consequently, I have repeatedly emphasized the urgent need to intervene and protect Israel from its own actions. We find ourselves grappling with the intensity of emotions and frustrations in the current situation. However, significant deficiency is glaringly apparent: a lack of effective leadership and a coherent strategy. If a more rational approach would be adopted in Washington, it would become evident that we urgently need to apply the brakes, or Israel's existence could be at stake. What's critical to understand is that the geopolitical landscape today is vastly different from that of 1973, which marked the last major conflict involving Israel, Egypt, and Syria. The countries in question have since witnessed dramatic changes, boasting populations numbering in the millions, if not hundreds of millions, who are considerably more educated than their 1973 counterpart. Furthermore, they have partnered advanced technology, particularly in the fields of media information exchange, unmanned systems, and robotics, among countless and others. The list of advancements is virtually endless. To exemplify this transformation, One need only to look at Iran, where a remarkable air and space program has taken shape, led by brilliant engineers who have achieved remarkable feats with limited resources, including the development of some of the world's most advanced theater, ballistic missiles. This discussion hasn't even touched upon the proliferation of unmanned systems and the various types of drones, which further elevate the